Welcome back to the Accountants Club podcast. I'm your host, Paul Redmond, and in today's episode, we're discussing one of the biggest challenges that accountants have, and that's how to price and how to create advisory services effectively. We're going to go through why pricing is the key and the different methods available that you can use to package and price your advisory services for the maximum amount of value. So the first thing I want to talk about is, what is the problem? What's the problem that we have as accountants and advisor pricing confidently advisory services? And this is a big obstacle. And it was a big obstacle when I tried to do it initially in my own practice, because we've talked a lot about moving from compliance to advisory, but one of the biggest stumbling blocks that accountants have constantly is, how do I price this service? And why am I struggling with the issue of pricing this service? And the reason you're struggling is because compliance services are used to being priced on an hourly basis or on a compliance fee. But advisory services, it's about the value that you provide. So when we're pricing advisory services, we're looking at the values that you provide for offering the service. And this creates some common challenges. Like, the number one common challenge is the perception of what value. So advisory services, they're not seen as tangible as compliance, and they're not seen as they have to be done as we do in compliance. So it's hard to get clients to see the value immediately. So how would I explain this? Let me tell you a little story. I had two particular people that I know went to get a custom tailored suit, and did two very, very different experiences in the custom tailored suit. One guy went up, we based in Ireland, and one guy went into this leading tailor in Dublin. And he walked in, and the guy looked at him, and he walked around. He offered him a few different options. He had a look at him. He put the tape on him once, and then he started and he talked to him about the material in it, and what did he want on the inside material, and what did he want on the outside material. And this went on for ages. And it was about an hour and a half. And he walked out there. He knew what the price was. And then this guy upsold him for a second suit at a highly discounted value. So it worked out really well to buy two suits. That's instance number one. And it was a really, really incredibly uplifting experience for him. And he could see how there was immense value added. He went back, got the suit, and it fit exactly to perfection for him. And it's something that he will always treasure. Person number two was traveling around Vietnam, and he walked in and had a completely different experience, but nonetheless a really, really good experience. And one was, say, for a value of $240, where the other was for a value of €1,600. So the difference in value was the perception that the guy had. Now, obviously, they're two different locations and everything. So how do we have that experience that somebody walks in and they get this custom tailored? So what we're trying to do is custom tailor advisory services to suit our clients' needs. So what we're talking about here, the challenges are the uncertainty in pricing and the value perception. That's the first problem that we have. So let's take a little bit of a second to look at packaging advisory services. And a lot of people, especially when you're starting out, will tier these services. We tier them into either basic, intermediate, or advanced, or whatever names you want: gold, bronze, silver, or gold, or whatever tier you want to bring up, 1, 2, 3. But services that can be tiered like this are services like cash flow management, preparing budgets and forecasts, a bit of strategic planning. When you can wrap cash flows, budgeting, and strategic planning into one particular product. And then how do we price them? So we're looking at pricing models then based on the different packages that we're doing. And we're talking about the likes of value-based pricing. So if you were creating these products individually, you will get X for them. But then wrapping them together into one package will give you a completely different experience in terms of pricing them together in one joint value. So the 3-tiered advisory package offerings is really good. And it works, as we talked in previous episode, for things like financial health reviews, cash flow management, and strategic growth. And when clients go through these, they'll start to perceive massive value that you will have on the other end of the delivery service. So we want to get something that's fast, that's quick, but that's adding the value straight away. So how do we communicate value to our clients? We need to understand how we can communicate that. And for me, that would be emphasizing the outcomes of the service offering. Really important when we're talking to a client, When they look at the clock, all they want to know what time it is. They don't care how the clock works. So what we're emphasizing here is the outcome or the time. So when we're saying like we can help you increase your profitability by 20%, that's a very, very, very clear outcome and measurable outcome for the client on their behalf. Or we can show you exactly how much cash flow you need on a monthly basis for your business. Or we can help you create your freedom number for your business. So now we're understanding this is the simple ways of communicating value to your clients. And remember, we're at the outset of all of this and we're doing simple advisory services. So we're learning how to price them. You will get into more advanced products and more advanced advisory services like CFO offerings and tax planning and combining tax planning with family and business planning. And all these offerings will come, but you have to start somewhere. So what have we learned so far? We've learned what the problem is. We've learned how to communicate the value, and we've learned how to package the services, and we've learned about why it's important to have some simple tiered products at the start. So in terms of the pricing models, there's really, I suppose, 3 pricing models that are used on a regular basis for advisory services. And that one is value-based pricing. So you go in there and you say, I'm going to add 50,000 on the year end to the profit, and I'm going to charge 5,000 for that, because you can perceive the value up front and the client can perceive that 50 grand profit is going to continue for say 5 years. So now he's looking at 250,000 in profit, and he's been charged 5,000. Anybody would pay that. The other model, and I always think it's a better model, is the retainer model. So you charge a monthly and quarterly retainer for ongoing advisory sessions. That means you can adapt as the client adapts. And the other is a specific project attracts a specific price. So you're looking at an advisory project for a client, they're looking to purchase a new building or buy a new business, and you're pricing that as a once-off project-based price. So where do we go from here? So I suppose for me then is, imagine selling advisory services as a roadmap to X marks the spot, to the treasure map. The value isn't in the map itself, but it's where it takes you. So the value isn't in the advisory service that you offer, but it's the journey and the destination. So what we're saying is we've worked for a long number of years now, and we can be really specific with the outcome for a client on a specific advisory service offering, because we've done it so many times. And a lot of these now are based on price. So project prices, we do that because we've done it and we can perceive it. But you've done these services for a long time as well. Now you're just looking at showcasing the value of your expertise. So if I was to say to you now, what's the next action steps for the listeners here today to bring together these advisory services? So how do you create and price them? The first thing is to develop the tiered offering. Start with basic, intermediate, and then advanced offerings. Test pricing with your top clients. And be honest and ask them, what do they perceive as the value in this? Like, what would they be willing to pay? That's a very brave thing to do, but it's a very good thing to do, because they're setting the value that they see in the project. And always and forever emphasize the value in the outcome that you're going to deliver to the clients. And then start preparing case studies to showcase the successes you've had in the past. And people love case studies. They love to see a case study because they can see themselves in the case study. So for me, I suppose, if I was to give you a one line to this, I would say pricing advisory service about showcasing the value of your expertise. Start small, get feedback, and adjust it until it feels right. So thank you very much, and we'll talk to you on the next episode, and we're looking forward to seeing you again shortly. Bye bye.